For 2 years, I couldn't hit a deer in the vitals if my life depended on it. Pretty sure I single-handedly kept Easton in business with the arrows I was going through. But here's how I beat target panic, and you can too. Now, what I think started my target panic was back in 2022, I hit a buck in the shoulder in Maryland. This stud 8 came through during the rut, came to the base of my tree, and I was already drawn back. So as he sprung backwards, I stood up and aimed at the buck. It was a perfect quartering away shot, but it was kind of a bang-bang play. So when I released my arrow, I watched it sail off target up and to the left, hitting the scapula of the buck, which gave me little to no penetration. That first time I made a poor shot, I tried not to think about it too much, and I mean, it happens to every hunter if you hunt long enough. I felt maybe since I had rushed the shot and I had to move quick, that maybe it was just a freak thing. But after it happened the second time in October of 2023, again, missing high and left, hitting that scapula, perfectly broadside shot. Concern definitely struck me, and I knew something had to be done about it. It's easy for people to just say, oh, go shoot more in your yard, shoot at a 3D target more, do this, do that, but like in all reality, it is not that easy. Getting over your target panic doesn't just happen overnight for most hunters. It requires real life hunting scenarios. So since it was mid-season, I bore down and started shooting every single day. At that point, I was shooting maybe 2-3 times a week, but now it was every day. I was backing up to 70, 80 yards. I was putting 3 arrows from 70, 80 yards in a dang pie plate. And that made my confidence better when I go up to 20 yards. I'd be sticking them tight. I felt like I was shooting lights out. But as soon as you'd put a deer in front of me at 20 yards, a chip shot, it was just a completely different story. And shooting every day, in my opinion, made it worse as I was expounding and piling on to my bad habits of my shooting technique, which made it even harder to break out of. So Halloween in October of 2023, I missed another buck, pretty good buck on public in Pennsylvania up at my camp. Thinking I had some more room between some limbs than I really did. I ended up hitting them and it deflected the arrow down right below the buck. But who knows where that would have actually hit. But it definitely kicked me while I was down. And I even had one more hunt that year in Kansas. Again, I was not feeling super confident in front of a deer. So I was out every single day shooting all through November up until December till I was in Kansas. Third day out west, I had a stud 8 come in 23 yards, chip shot, slightly quartering 2. I was patient, controlled my breathing, didn't rush my shot, missed high left through the backstrap. I was distraught. Not only at my performance, but mainly I owed these animals better. Even though bad shots will happen to almost every hunter, I just felt like gutted wounding an animal. I was putting in the time every day, shooting, but I realized that just was not going to be enough. So I ended up hanging up my bow till summer, knowing I needed to do a complete major reset. My only positive piece I took out of 2023 was going back to Louisiana with a rifle in hand, chasing that buck that I had hit before in the scapula. And I was able to close the story on him, which was definitely a gift from above, but it was time to put in the work. So for those of you who may be struggling with target panic and can relate, or if you're lucky enough to have never even experienced target panic, it ends up coming down to one main thing. And that one main thing is a mental warfare. After your first miss, you begin to have a lot of self-doubt. And I've been a huge golfer my entire life. So I was able to take a quote, I'm pretty sure it was by Bobby Jones, and apply to this situation. So Jones once said, golf is a game played on a 6-inch course, the distance between your ears. right in here. And that's what I was battling with. It was my self-confidence. I mean, doubting myself every chance I could get. When you're going through target panic and you're pulling back on a deer, every thought you had just goes out the window. Whether it's thoughts on how you're going to fix your shooting problems or a different technique you needed to do. And the adrenaline rush of just having that buck in front of you kicks into overdrive. And I would go from forgetting everything to overthinking everything. Like there was just no in between. Am I missing at the right spot? What if I miss high left again? Should I aim low right? I just wish they had a body of an elk sometimes so I could have a bigger target. At this point, I'm wondering, do deer even have vitals anymore? Haven't hit one in 2 years. But gosh, what a rough time and just a tough mental warfare to go through. It's just the worst feeling any hunter could go through. I will never hang up bow hunting, God willing, by anything under my own control. So in the summer of 2024, I met up with a great friend of mine, Dave Keller, to look at my shooting form and to help me get out of this funk that I was in. In the meantime, I'd also switched bows back to my old trusty Matthews Triax, which I'd used to harvest many deer before. And yeah, I know it ain't the equipment, it's the operator's problem, but it was just this mental thing, and it gave me a little bit more confidence back that I didn't have before. So I was clinging to whatever I could get. Dave ended up looking at my form. I shot a few times in front of him from just 20 yards, hitting my mark, but he saw a few things that he wanted to change, and I'm pretty sure he even guessed that I was missing deer high to the left. Because here is what he saw. So first, I was pulling out of my shot way too early. I just wanted to see where the arrow was hitting. I was so excited. And the fix for that was just to hold your bow through the shot and watch your arrow travel through the sight till it hits your target. Then you can drop your bow. And I assumed this was my biggest problem with deer in front of me, because I would just get, again, so excited to see where that arrow would hit that I would just pull out of it, and I was going kind of to the left. My second thing, my grip was straight trash.
You're trash, kid.
I was death gripping my bow like I was trying to choke a dang goose's neck.
What did he say?
He said, and I love this, the bow is 99.9% of the time a perfectly working machine. The less contact you have with a bow, the more it will work and hit its mark like it's intended to. So what he had me do here was rotate my wrist from dead vertical to kind of just sitting in the webbing in between my index finger and thumb, more so closer to the thumb, because and this was a tough one at first. It made pulling back the bow a little harder from what I was used to. I was feeling pressure on a different area of my hand, but it was just something I had to keep working at and get through on my own and changing everything up. Third thing was that my stance was out of whack. I had my hip out like I was a dang backup dancer at a Shakira concert.
Shakira, that's tú? Wow.
Problem with this was that like when I had to readjust to shoot different directions or I was sitting down, my form was not consistent. He told me that from the waist up should be my pivot point. So basically my waist, everything rotates from here, down, up, back, left, right, whatever way I need to move. If I make my waist my pivot point, everything stays consistent. The final step in doing all these things and kind of combining everything together was shooting at a distance of 5 yards for as long as I possibly could. I would also consider this the most important step out of everything I was learning to do. What shooting at 5 yards did was really allowed me to focus on feeling what I was doing with my new form while not worrying about where my arrow was sailing off to and hitting the target. But most importantly, shooting at 5 yards repeatedly, what it taught me was that it re-taught me my basic instincts on shooting a bow. So that way, when your adrenaline kicks in with a deer in front of you and you just black out, instead of going back to old habits or however you learned to shoot the first time, the repetition of this new form would take over from all the work you've been putting in. Then all it would rely on was me putting the pin where it needed to be on the deer, and voila, hopefully problem solved. So after shooting for over a month, maybe almost 2 at 5 yards, just about every single day, I bumped it back to 20 and went on from there. So 3 months into this now, I'm feeling great. Deer season rolls around in Maryland. Now, I said earlier that this is a mental warfare, and a real life hunting situation is completely different than shooting at a target. Well, I wasn't out of the woods quite yet, literally. I was still afraid to get too close to that shoulder from all the times I had missed before with it. I decided that year that I was going to have a Domageddon and knock down as many as I possibly could to get that real world practice in before I had the chance on a buck. So at the beginning of September 2024, first week of Maryland season, I took my first whack at a doe. Now I hit my mark right where I was aiming, but I wasn't aiming where I needed to. I aimed center mass at the last second on this shot because I was afraid of the shoulder. The doe folded up, luckily only 80 yards, but my confidence was growing. I hit the deer where I was aiming, even though that's not where you want to aim. Late September rolls around, doe 2 comes strolling in, doe number 2. I was a little impatient on this one. I was in a super high tree stand. I should have waited for her to pick her head up, but again, here I was, afraid to get close to that shoulder. Center mass, hit where I was aiming, but she turned away from the shot, allowing the arrow to most likely catch a lung. However, a huge rainstorm hit after I shot this doe. There was a large blood trail for the first 50, 80 yards, somewhere in there, but a storm came and completely wiped it out. I mean, it downpoured, and I sadly was not able to find her. So not giving up, knowing I'm finally hitting where I need to on a deer, mid-October came, and we were up doing some scouting for PA Public up at my camp with my dad. It was just me and my dad, and we decided to slip into a stand we had right behind the camp. A doe came in 12 yards and shot through both the lungs. My confidence is almost fully back now, but the biggest test would be on a buck. November 12th, 2024, the opportunity presented itself. A buck at 20 yards in Maryland, and he only went 50 yards. Am I back?
He's back.
He's back!
Sure dang feels like it. What a huge relief, and what a confidence builder 2024 was, and what a dang journey. Now, I know it's only 2025, but I still stay consistent shooting at the beginning of every year at 5 yards to not let myself fall back into those old habits. I'm also sure that if I continue doing this the rest of my life, not every shot is going to be perfect, but I will know that I have won the mental warfare side of things and will be able to get back up on my feet if this happens again. I owe a huge thank you to Dave Keller for helping me just overcome this target panic and the problems, and probably I owe him a lifetime supply of Rack Daddy's merch. So as we learned, target panic doesn't go away overnight, but if I can beat it, heck, I think anyone can. So what has been your worst struggle at full draw? Drop it below in the comments, and thanks for watching. Hope this helps you guys out.